What is going on, YouTube? It's your boy Spanko, and today I'm excited because one of my favorite decks of all time recently topped a North American YCS or Remote Duel Invitational. One of these events, it topped a really big event, maybe the Extravaganza, I can't remember which one. However, I thought this deck was really cool, and that deck is ABC. ABC was one of those things that I thought people forgot about. I even forgot about it myself. I didn't think the deck was too great. However, it just topped an Extravaganza, and I think it's going to be really like not necessarily bad actually in this upcoming format. I did make some little tweaks to the build that topped just because we are doing this profile post ban list. We're also doing this profile post Megatins because technically when the ban list drops, the Megatin is also going to be out at the same time. So because ban list, post ban list is also technically means post Megatin. That's how we're doing it in today's video. I'm really excited. I've been playtesting this deck. It's been doing really well for me online. I've been having so much fun with it. So I hope you guys do enjoy. If you guys do though, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more Yu-Gi-Oh content. All my social media links are in the description below. Check out my Twitch as well. That's really all I gotta say. I don't want to keep you guys for too long. So with that, on to the video. Okay, so one last thing just before we get started, I just wanted to say that at the end of this profile, I'm going to include a little clip of a duel that I played, just show you guys how this deck works, how it plays out, and how insane it can low-key be, okay? So we're starting off with AAA Assault Core, B Buster Drake, as well as 2 C Crush Wyvern. This is just the standard ratio now for ABC. C is actually your worst piece and you want to draw it as little as possible. With the inclusion of Union Driver, which we're just playing one of here, you really don't need to play more than 2 C. You're going to get to it if you need to get to it with the Union Driver anyways. Now, I used to be a big fan of playing 2 Union Driver, but what I realized when I looked into this deck more is that first of all, you can summon Union Driver, or equip Union Driver, I mean, from your hand using the unauthorized reactivation. But more importantly, it's just a brick. Like, you played 2 because you really wanted to keep 1 in your deck just in case you drew 1. But then I was like, wait, the logic there would just be play 1 and not draw it, you know? Of course, it's not that bad if you draw it, you just don't want to draw it, right? So I think just 1 is fine. Then we are playing triple Galaxy Soldier. We want to get to this. This is our only real extender in the deck, I would say. So you do want to get to this, and when you do get to this, your boards become even more insane. It helps you play through a lot of things as well, so you definitely want to play Galaxy Soldier. It also gets pieces in the graveyard. If you have no other way to get pieces in the graveyard, it gets those pieces in the graveyard, right? So this card is so insane. Then we're playing double Gamma Seal, 2 Kaijus. If you guys haven't noticed yet, this wants to go second. This deck does not want to go first. ABC, for the longest time, I thought you want to go first. You want to be able to combo. You want to be able to set up ABC plus Infinity plus like IP plus whatever, you know what else? But you realize that doesn't work anymore with ABC because it loses to too many things, especially in the upcoming format. We are building this deck so that it can be post ban list, post Megatin. You realize, hey, like some things you're just not going to be able to avoid. So going second is just better. And what this deck really wants to do and what it does best is really go second, break your opponent's boards. You're not necessarily going for the OTK, which I noticed a lot of going second decks want to be like break board OTK, right? Which is cool, but what I really like about this deck is it's kind of like a going second mid-range deck. So you go second, break your opponent's board, set up your own board, and then you're pretty much winning from there. So it's a really cool way to play the deck. I think it's the best way to play the deck actually right now. So double Gamma Seal, we are playing triple Ash Blossom, of course, triple Effect Veiler. I think Effect Veiler is going to be one of the best hand traps in the upcoming format. Of course, Tri-Braid is still going to be relevant, Drytron's going to still be relevant. Effect Veiler is really good against those. On top of that, it is a light monster, so if you need an extra light monster for Galaxy Soldier, it is there for you. So of course you have triple Effect Veiler. Then we have triple Pot of Prosperity. Prosperity, of course, is really good. It gets you to anything that you need to get into. We have the unauthorized reactivation at 3, of course. Unauthorized reactivation in a lot of ways just replaces your Union Hanger. Of course, with Terraforming going to 1, it kind of sucked. It made this deck really Union Hanger or bust, but this card was insane. It's an insane addition to the deck. And then on top of that, even if you draw into it, let's say you see your hand and you're like, I don't need the unauthorized reactivation to continue going off, you can just set it. And this card is really good because if you guys don't know, the pieces have their own protection effects as well. A has the effect to protect from monster effects, B has the effect to protect from spell effects, and then C has the effect to protect from trap cards, which is really good. And the reason for that is because they all also have a second effect where if the card is going to be destroyed by battle or card effect, then you can just pop the card in the equip zone as well. And that's really good because then unauthorized reactivation pretty much gives you another form of protection for this deck as well. So this card is insane in so many different ways. Very versatile. One Called by the Grave, triple Forbidden Droplet, and let me tell you, this card, I hate to say it, I know this card's expensive, but this card is MVP. Like, especially in a deck like ABC, it is MVP. when you can send pieces from your field, obviously from your hand as well, but when you can send pieces from your field to the graveyard to break opponents' entire boards, like you're gonna negate their entire board pretty much. Once you negate an entire board and you just go off, like this card is so great. I'm not gonna lie, I used to hate on this card a little bit. I think it depends on which deck you played in, but droplets is such a disgusting card. This card is so insane. If you have access to droplets, get your hands on droplets. If not, I will recommend some things though. If you don't have access to droplets, I would say play something like 1 Forbidden Chalice. That's a pretty good card as well. You can negate monsters with Forbidden Chalice. 2, what you can do is, because the Megaton is going to be out post ban list, and because the Megaton comes out, I think October 1st, maybe September 30th, I can't remember. But when the Megaton comes out, you do have Crossout Designator. You can play Crossout Designator in here as well. I chose not to play Crossout Designator. The reason for that is because really the only cards you're going to be hitting for the most part is going to be Ash and Effect Veiler. So Crossout Designator is not really good in that sense. On top of that, this is a going second deck, so Crossout is not as good. So I wouldn't play Crossout, but you have other options other than Droplet. You can play another hand trap in here as well if you wanted to. Bell is going to be pretty good this format as well, so you could play another hand trap, but Droplet is just so insane in this deck. And then you are playing triple Union Hanger. I mean, this is pretty obvious, as well as 1 Terraforming. Then you're playing triple Imperm, which I think is going to be also another really good hand trap in the upcoming format, and triple Evenly Matched. Now, let me tell you this. When I saw this in the top deck profile, in the profile that came 8th place at the Extravaganza, I was like, Evenly Matched. No one is playing this card anymore. Why would you want to play Evenly Matched? And then I realized this card is insane going second. So we all know obviously how good Evenly Matched is, right? That's something that doesn't really need to be explained. But what I do want to say about Evenly Matched, and the reason that I think it's so good, is because this is, like I said earlier, a control deck. I don't care if I lose my battle phase. On top of that, you're playing Prosperity anyways in this deck. So when you're playing Prosperity, you're doing half battle damage regardless. So what is really good about this card is it's a 1 card. First of all, if your opponent has negates and you have no way to get rid of those negates, they have to force a negate on the Evenly Matched, right? So if you go Evenly Matched and they have a negate, they have to negate it, right? Otherwise, you're just going to lose their whole board. So they wouldn't let that happen, right? On top of that, if you're not baiting out a negate, it just clears your opponent's entire board, and they're probably gonna keep the 1 most important card on their field. And if they do keep the 1 most important card on their field, you have ways like Droplet, you have ways like Gamma Seal, you have ways like Imperm, you have so many ways to stop it from going off. So that's why Evenly in this deck, and I know it hasn't been played in a long time, but Evenly in this deck makes so much sense, and I absolutely love playing this card in this deck. Now, speaking of Evenly, another option that you could play if you didn't want to play the droplets, I just thought about this, is something like Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. Now, Slumber is obviously not as great because it's only going to be destroying monsters. Also, you would have to up your Kaiju count. Another thing you can play though is Lightning Storm. I don't think Lightning Storm is bad in this. The reason I don't think Lightning Storm is actually not too bad is because really, if you're going second, first of all, Lightning Storm is just generically a really good card. So you can do that as well. It kind of replaces Evenly, but you can play Lightning Storm plus Evenly if you don't have droplets, because I know droplets is like just a stupid expensive card, right? So I'm just trying to give you guys options. Next up for the extra deck, we are playing triple ABC Dragon Buster. Now, this card used to be really in the most builds I've seen, and even most builds I've built. We started to cut ABC down to 2. The reason you just play it back at 3 is because a lot of the time with Prosperity, I'm usually just banishing one of them with Prosperity, if I'm being 100% honest with you. Now, people have asked me, I was playing this on my stream, which by the way, if you guys haven't checked out my Twitch, you guys should definitely check out my Twitch. We're at 9 subscribers on Twitch now. That's really cool. I'm really excited with that. That is super fun streaming over there. But some of my Twitch followers and viewers were asking me how, like, what do you banish off Prosperity so that you can continue to make plays, continue your combos, continue to break boards, etc., etc. And honestly, that just really comes with what the situation you're in and what the situation you find yourself at. And what I mean by that is pretty much like, hey, like if you know you have a hand where you're not going to need something like Claire and Rushka, okay, so you banish your Claire and Rushka. If you see a deck that, because you're going second, you're going to know what your opponent's playing. If you see a deck that's not using the graveyard, banish the Abyss Dweller. So when I get into the extra deck here, I'm just going to show you guys. This is the entire extra deck. We'll go through it one by one. We got an Infinity, a Nova, of course, for the Galaxy Soldier, 1 Dweller. Dweller is really just a flex spot. You can play any rank 4 monster because this deck makes rank 4s pretty easily. So you can play any rank 4 monster. Dweller is just really good against those graveyard decks. You can play Tornado Dragon for backward decks. You can play Baguska as another option. Just so many options. Dweller is really just a flex spot. You got the Underworld Goddess. Now this is the go-to. This is the bread and butter of your deck. You always make this card. Your combo is always going to end on IP plus ABC Buster Dragon. And when you end on that, you can make your Underworld Goddess, especially with Buster, because Buster is going to put 3 monsters on your side of the field. You're going to have an IP, so you automatically have this. But the nicest thing about it is if you see your opponent summon a monster or something that could be troublesome, you can use your opponent's monster to make Underworld Goddess with IP. It's so crazy, right? So you definitely want to play this card. This card's insane in this deck. It also negates an effect that summons from the graveyard, so a lot of decks do that now, and that's really good, of course. We have Access Code Talker, of course, Apollo Apollo is another card you could banish with Prosperity. Apollo you don't make too often, to be honest with you. Sometimes you make it with your IP if you think it's just better than making your Underworld Goddess. So Apollo is just another option there. Again, you can banish this if you see yourself not going into it. You have Unicorn, Phoenix, Platinum Gadget helps you with your combo sometimes. You got Cerberus, IP, and of course Clarenrushka. So this extra deck really is a lot of toolbox. The main ones, of course, you want to play at least one Buster. Like you want to make this at least in your first turn board. Nova, Infinity, and then you really have just the Link 5 and the Link 4s. Those are the most important ones, to be honest with you. You rarely go into something like Platinum Gadget. Sometimes it depends on like the hands you have, you go into this, but rarely you do go into this. It's mostly just IP, Buster, and then, you know, the staple cards. So the deck is really insane. I have so much fun playing this deck, and that's it really for the deck profiles. 40 cards in the main deck, 15 cards in the extra deck, and I don't want to keep you guys too long, but I do want to show you guys this combo, and I do want to show you guys how this deck plays out, so let's get into that. So that is it for today's video. I'm actually really excited to be bringing you guys this deck because this is one of my favorite decks, especially if you guys are not new here to the channel. You guys know that ABC is one of my favorite decks of all time. It is one of the decks that I saw the most competitive success with when it was one of the best decks in the format, and now it's kind of fallen off. Yes, however, it's really cool that it did top a recent event, a recent like really competitive event actually at that. And yeah, so we're bringing it back to life. Thank you guys all for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy, and with that, Spanko signing out. Peace.